SBS. SBS Live this week is back with an episode that you have been waiting for just as much as I have been, just as much as we have been here at the studio with Nixie. We've got Shauna, Sarah, Bronwyn, and of course Carrie here in the studio with us, making the trip out from Vancouver to here to perform an interview for you guys. I had been waiting a long time to have them here at the studio, and finally we have got them. So very excited to show them to you today. Fantastic interview with some great personalities and some really good perspectives on music in general. And we cover the history from the very first time that I ever met Nixie to the podcast that we had before the show aired, where I got to offer my perspective on what I thought Nixie was all about without ever having met them before. So we get to find out today whether or not I was right at all, if I was even close. This is about as fanboy episode as you can possibly imagine, so let's get into it. SBS Live this week with Nixie. Yee!
I cannot see any other way out. I can't control my fate. You're on the other end of a planet that's spinning like a plane.
Okay, so let's do this thing. So we've got SBS Live this week, and this week we're extremely excited. You guys know that. Way over caffeinated and way excited to talk to these people from Nixie. So thank you very much, everybody, for being here. We've got Shauna, we've got Bronwyn, we've got Sarah, and we've got Carrie. I made it through that. Yes, okay.
Good job.
So far, so good. I'm liking this. So, right off the bat, I met two of you, and I don't know if you guys remember this, and I'm not sure who it was because it was dark, and I was a sweaty, like Sasquatch-looking guy with a bunch of cameras, and it was cold. It was probably December, but coming out of the Magic Spells interview, I ran into two of you, or one of
On
you.
the stoop at our place?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I was there.
Who was
Did
it?
I walk through the room at that point too?
Somebody
'Cause
walked through the room that day.
My bedroom's connected to the jam space.
Right.
Yeah.
So I met a
I was
couple
on
of
the
you,
stoop.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I guess, you know, my real question is, why haven't you called? No, it's not that. But what I want to know is, yeah, you guys have been extremely busy in the last little while. So, and in great ways. There's a lot of things going on with Nixie right now. So just kind of give me some insight into what's happening in daily life for Nixie right now.
Well, Magic Spells, actually, shout out to them. They've been hooking us up with a couple of their shows,
Yeah.
which has been nice. Like, they've got us on the bill, so I don't know, the past couple of months we've just been playing around town quite a bit.
Right.
We just
In
played
Vancouver?
the Electric Owl, which was a really awesome venue. One of the best.
How did the show go, like, in general? Like, I mean, obviously a good venue kind of adds to that excitement for performers, right? So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was sweet. We had an overly excited smoke machine.
Oh! Okay.
So I think most of the
couldn't see
pictures we
anything.
got of that night, it was just like Shauna in the front, and then everyone was just smoked out. And it looked kind
Right.
of eerie and kind of cool, but like nobody could see us at all.
Right.
It
We
was
were all
just kinda funny.
silhouetted, the lights. I think it added to our
Oh, it was
stage
fun.
presence.
Nobody was like smoked completely out. Well, I mean, it's Vancouver, probably differently, but like, you know, at the end of the day, it wasn't like people are sitting there just trying to wave it away or anything.
It was only
us who were getting it.
We were
Okay.
high enough on this, like the stage was raised, so high enough that nobody
Nobody passed
was
out.
having
or-
an asthma attack or anything.
Yeah, it all
Yeah.
just like seeped down and like dissipated into the big room.
Yeah, which is, you know, what you want,
Yeah,
right? Like,
totally.
you know, it's adding that atmosphere, which, when we did the podcast, which you guys know about, the Great Canadian Hit List, make sure I shout my names because I'm a shameless promoter. when we did that, we talked about that kind of atmosphere that Nixie has, and that mysticism, that light versus dark struggle. Did I get anything right? Was that at all close? How do you guys feel that came out from your perspective? Because that was all me without meeting you.
It's definitely perfect because that's what we get a lot. People say, wow, your music is, I don't know how to explain it. It's really dark, but at the same time, it doesn't come off in a negative form.
Right.
So it's really hard to understand, but it makes people feel good at the same time.
Right. When I'm looking at the About page, and you guys know where I'm going with this already probably, because this is like my favorite topic of the moment, but changing the world. And you guys have that just in bold. It's out there for anybody to see that you really, you believe that this can happen. But the one thing that I did notice, and this is just because I pick apart words like crazy, it's not specific. Right? Do we mean good or do we mean bad? I listened to that music, and you heard what I had to say on the podcast. I think it's good. But is that what really you mean by putting that out there?
We actually had this conversation before we came, just to clarify a
You
little
thought I
bit.
might ask this question somehow, some way?
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure. But and Bronwyn made a really good point, like when saying we'd like to change the world, it's not something that we necessarily mean in any form that the world needs to be changed.
Okay.
We discussed a lot of different points, but one of them being if music can influence an individual per se, that individual can therein change his life for the rest of the world, or
Change your perspective.
So, and what you mean is kind of whether or not Nixie maybe grabs an entire audience. If they still grab that person, that change can still be connected to it somehow, kind of thing, right?
we're definitely aware that in this time that we are living in, there are a lot of problems and a lot of issues, but all we can do really is
Try to live some light on it.
Live consciously and
Yeah.
almost like catalyze and
hope
just bring
that
that out in other people, I guess.
hope like-minded individuals catch on maybe to a concept that we might bring light to, or like in Citizen Warning, asking questions.
Get into that a bit for me. Obviously, I want to talk about that too. And we're there right now, so let's jump into that real quick. Because there are some very pointed messages that are coming through in Citizen Warning, or at least things that I'm hearing. Is it as specific as it seems to be, or
Well, essentially, like, we don't want to push any ideas on anyone,
is it... Right.
but we would like to ask an audience a question. Maybe perhaps questions that come into the listener and make them question it themselves. Question the idea, do you know where your food comes from?
Right.
Do you actually know where your food comes from? How many miles it travels to get to you? How it's created and in which factories and whatnot. And the same goes for clothing. And
The underlying message being more or less like question the process, question the information that you're getting, kind of thing, right?
we're kind of being force-fed a lot in this world right now, and we're not really asking the question of where it's coming from and who's in control.
Yeah.
Well, and the real question behind that is like, what does that mean to you? It's not like this is how you should think. Like, where does your food come from? Well, it comes from there. That's bad.
Right.
It's not like that. It's like people are just living their lives. Like, people aren't bad for living the way they are. But it's like if you start questioning about where things come from and what the food you're eating is, and then you can figure out what that means to you, and then basically, like Carrie said, that you're becoming more conscious of your own state and like what creates your happiness and what makes you feel whole. And when you're in a better place than that, like everybody's going to be in a better place.
Yeah.
It's just like a
am I wrong? It's contagious like that, though,
It
right?
is, yeah.
Like, I mean, music has that ability to really translate to a lot of people.
It's magic.
I mean, you know, I'm looking at 4 women here that are making music that a bearded lumberjack would love, you know? And and that's you know, like that's a you know, I don't think there's any kind of gender specific thing about Nixie. I think that's music that has an aspect that almost anybody could really want to, you know, enjoy somehow. You know, whether it is that light aspect or the dark aspect, there's something there for all kinds of people. How about that, like, I guess just with the idea of the image in Citizen Warning and how that turned out visually for you through the video? Was that, how conscious of you are, or of that are you?
Well, that video was created with a gentleman we're working with. His name is Kevin McGovern. He's a film producer in Vancouver, and we've worked with him for so many years. His craft and art is video, and ours is music, and we've worked together on lots of different live footage videos. He just recently recorded our first music video, which is going to be released, and it's pretty amazing. But I mean,
I'm upset that you guys are hoarding this thing. Okay,
It's not us.
He's a hoarder.
Oh,
It's not
okay,
us.
all right. So it's not you guys.
It'll be-
Or,
it'll be
no,
us.
don't hold them responsible.
Yeah, it's
It'll
his
be out
baby.
soon.
But I mean, you announced this about a week ago, and I've
Yeah.
been sitting here like, okay, you know, I'm not gonna say I refresh my browser every 5 minutes. Okay? It's every 10.
Yeah.
And that's definitely the truth. But you know,
The Citizen Warning, I think that was just live
That was our-
footage from our CD release party, I
Right.
think.
it
Yeah.
was, yeah.
Yeah, so we created this
And he just
backdrop.
spliced it together for us. Like we were entering some
Peak
competition or
Performance Project.
peak.
Okay.
Okay, so it was peak, yeah.
But
And
I
he
mean,
just like
He
put it
does
together for us really
capture
quick.
our live movements because,
Yeah.
in a sense, in like
The
in
fluidness of yeah.
Exactly, yeah. That's what we try to really go for in our stage performance.
And was that something that you had to discuss with him though, or was that?
Oh, not
that
at all.
He just knew where to take that direction.
pretty
or-
good at
He knows us
Right, right.
too.
picking it
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
It makes a big difference when you're working with somebody that really gets the sound, gets the
Yeah.
direction, and knows what you want to,
Yeah.
you know, how you want to be represented, right?
Yeah, and that was a very realistic partake of our live show. Like
Right.
that's what it's like for Citizen Warning. It's like there's like a lot of like
He really captured what we were trying to emulate, I believe, as a band.
So, and he's also responsible for the new video coming up.
Yeah, and he also did a documentary about Nixie, which
What?
is it's under the radar.
Did we bring
Got
it?
me
We
back.
brought it here for
We
you.
brought
guys.
it.
Oh,
If
really?
you guys want to watch it, yeah.
Yeah.
It hasn't been released yet because we're working out some details for maybe like film festival submissions and stuff.
Really? Wow.
So yeah,
it's part of his project.
yeah, it's
Okay.
still under the radar, but he's
Yeah.
You
brilliant indie film
give me that for a second.
guy. Check it.
Mind blown here for a second. Like, there's a lot of buzz about Nixie. How aware of that are you guys? Like, are you? I've written about the fact that people have approached me long before we've had these correspondences, and you know, I've had this chance to learn about your music. Is that something you're aware of? Like, there is a buzz about Nixie in Vancouver, and it's I think larger than maybe you know. Is it?
I think that's what we hope for.
Well, yeah, like
Yeah.
maybe starting to come out a little bit. I mean, we have a pretty good crew of friends that come out and support when we do shows, so that's nice. But I don't know. That's
try to be
fun.
conscious
They don't
of it,
come and
though,
talk to
or-
us really. So
Yeah, right. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
Well, that's definitely even the reason that we moved to Vancouver was to try and definitely break through the scene and
yeah.
make something of.
Like every other band in
Well,
Vancouver, really.
indeed.
Sure.
But
But you
yeah.
felt Vancouver was a better opportunity to do it than say Kelowna
Then
was?
Kelowna, yeah.
Okay.
Well, Kelowna's fabulous, but we just kind of
Right.
got to that point where, like personally, I think it's a little bit limited in the sense of venue space. There's the local like music community is fabulous,
Right.
super supportive. That you just run out of places to play. Like I can play Docs, I can play the Fed, I can play Streaming Cafe or Habitat, and then it's
Right.
like you
Yeah.
can only do that
Do
every
the
so
circuit
often.
again, kind of thing,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And
Your friends are only going to come out so many times.
Yeah.
Right, for sure.
So-
So you've tested the waters really by making this move, I guess, more or less, to see, you know, is that
was the hope.
attention still there, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
We're definitely
Get some
trying
fresh
to.
ears.
We're trying to be in the right place at the right time
Right.
because that's always how it goes. But
It is. I don't believe in closed doors, though, for the record. You know, I
Yeah.
believe in people that don't pull hard enough. And I think that music that really kind of shines through and has that sonic texture, that's something that Rob at SBS really loves, is just atmosphere and texture.
Sonic texture. I
And
like
you guys are nailing that
nice.
stuff. So you really do create that atmosphere, and I think that kind of grand scale music, if I can say that, again, it transcends. It really does appeal to a large audience. There's a lot of people that are looking to find that in some way, whether it's through a soundtrack or, you know, just on the album itself. Tell me about this new album that you guys have. Like, just give me the real. You said Countdown is the kind of the best representation of where Nixie's at right now. What made you say that?
Just by the structure of this song, how it starts out a cappella, giving you a chance to hear the vocals, and then we go into an almost instrumental
Electronic.
There is a lot. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a long...
It kind of
yeah.
showcases all our different sounds and where we can go with our electronic stylings, I suppose.
Right.
And at the end, then it gets really intense, and then you get all the like, whoa, this is how heavy we can get. Like, we have
Right.
a lot of like metal heads who
Yeah.
really like our music.
Really like it.
Yeah.
Who really like our music.
Why do you think that is? Like,
Because
what
we
is it?
because
so
we
epic.
fill this room, like we get so intense, like we're on stage and we're like we're in it, like we
Right.
can, you know, like we're big into Deftones and Tool and all that kind of stuff, and
Very cool.
at the same time like pop and like happy electronic, so it's
Right.
yeah.
And that song, when played live, is a huge sound. And I just went to see Muse in Vancouver.
What was it? Band
Band of Skulls.
of Skulls. Yeah.
And that's it. Band of Skulls performed first, and it was really great. But when Muse came on, it was almost like they encompassed, like, over their sound. It was just that much bigger.
Right.
And that's what Nixie strives
That's where
to
you're
do.
heading to go.
We can fill that stadium.
Whatever size
know.
it is, you're ready to
Yeah.
fill it. Now, Carrie, were you there at the Muse show?
Yeah.
Okay. Bass-wise, Muse, right now, is smoking hot. Did they bring out the bass with the what is it, like an iPad attached to it or something like that? Did he have that with him?
It lit
Have you seen
up.
this thing?
Last time,
Absolutely
Didn't we do
lit
that
up.
last time? Last year,
Last
he had
year we
the
saw
same
that.
thing.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
been
yeah,
rocking this
totally.
thing for quite a while,
Yeah,
but
so
I
cool.
love watching that thing in action, and every time I see it,
Yeah.
I'm just like, man, how do I just want to make my own.
like was it like a like bass?
But-
They're just like
Yeah.
insane all around.
Yeah, and I think this time you guys got a real opportunity to see the Muse show for what it was, because so much of their show has been stuck in the UK. And when they've come over here, they've played the Commodore, and they've played really, tiny venues for as big of a stadium as you go and see them fill in Europe.
Yeah.
Right? So
Well,
I think,
the four of us went when they came through on the Resistance tour, so
Okay.
a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
and that was phenomenal.
That was
I liked that show
they were
better.
really at the top of
than
the
the
game,
recent-
arguably,
yeah.
at that point, in my opinion.
man.
Like,
Yeah,
again,
they
I
just
think Muse is, I don't think they've
super
ever
held
really
it down.
dropped the ball, because
Yeah.
they're, amazing musicians, and
Yeah.
every live performance I've ever seen, every clip, they're spot on.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of the songwriting, I found I'm starting to struggle a little bit right now.
I
You know,
wasn't that stoked with their new album.
Right, yeah, but
happens.
do they have moments? Absolutely. They've got more than a few, you know? Absolutely.
Well, also with that, like, the first year their stage was maybe $5 million more expansive,
Right.
and this time it was a little less flashy and had a lot less components to the stage show. So that for me almost did it, and it kind of makes me feel bad because, like, when you're just a new starting artist, you have nothing. You don't have a stage show, and all you have is your music. So if you can make it with your music, which I hope that Nixie does, I also will really enjoy creating a massive stage show
Right.
because I think that will it just influences people. It stimulates their eyes, and
Yeah.
they
All
can.
the senses.
But it sounds like you guys are being realistic about it too. You know where you can start. You know what the starting blocks realistically are, and you know you obviously have a vision. Hopefully, you all are on that same vision. You know, as to where you could take it.
Light
artistically
shit
as
on
well.
fire.
Pyramid.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Stage.
Absolutely.
Cats
Like,
falling from
I
the
mean,
ceiling.
you talk about breaking stuff directly on the Facebook site too. I didn't mention that as much as changing the world, but that's out there. So
Oh, breaking
sometimes,
stuff?
yeah,
Just try to be cheeky. Well, we get a little rowdy.
you gotta break some stuff every once in a while. It's just the way it goes, right? You know.
Yes.
I don't really know how to-
Windows, telephones, teeth.
Teeth. Okay, Nixie's breaking teeth. Be warned. It has been said. Tell me about the, like, as far as the new album goes, we'll get back into that. First of all, does it have a title? Am I missing something here? Or is it just Nixie? Or
Self-titled.
Self-titled.
Okay.
Isn't it an answer? Well, that's the
That's
documentary.
the doc. Yeah. And well, actually, at this point, it's not even really that new of an album. It's new
Right.
to people that heard it. We recorded it back in '09.
It's 09.
Yeah.
Okay, honestly, I thought it was last year myself.
No, we
I knew it was
released
older than new.
in 2011.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but it took it, like, we worked at Nimbus Studios and had some really good connections there, but it took us a little while to kind of get everything organized and go through the mix mastering
Right.
process.
Well, tell me about that, because honestly, big respect for Nimbus. I'm sure your experience was fantastic.
It was amazing.
Because
It was
I know them
brilliant.
to be, technologically sound, and not only that, but they're invested in the people that go there
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
actual process itself.
Yeah,
They have
it
a lot of
was-
different approaches, and I really have a lot of respect. So tell me about that a bit.
We
It
recorded.
was a ton of fun.
Yeah, it was lots of fun. We recorded with Futcher, who's one of the teachers at Nimbus.
Right.
And he found us through MySpace and really liked us and got us in there. We were there for about 10 days.
Right.
We recorded the whole album.
Every day.
And every day.
Yeah.
From 11 till 11.
Right.
Yeah.
That's great, though, right?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
awesome. No, the
Yeah.
whole experience was phenomenal. Like, we'd never
Definitely.
really had a studio experience until then.
Right.
Yeah.
Before that.
And that's, that is, in the way that you've put it, is one of the best first stories I've probably heard, because one of the things we hear the most from indie artists is that you just don't get the time. So to hear that you guys are spending 10 days, 11 to 11, that's a lot of work, don't get me wrong. A lot of click track and a lot of,
yeah.
but whatever. The
sucky.
fact
A lot
is
of
you guys
coffee.
did it, right? Yeah, caffeine is always good.
We were super lucky to have that opportunity too, for him to just seek us out. He came to a show in like Summerland.
Yeah.
He traveled by bus
Okay.
to come to check us out, and he's like, "I love
It was
that."
awful.
We ignored him.
Yeah,
we were like,
like,
who is this guy? Like, we were like,
Right.
He
Stalker, right?
we're
Yeah.
like, whoa.
That's the way we promoters are, though. We send you emails and we stalk the crap out of you.
It was
That's
kind
how
of that
goes.
classic, like, hey, I really like your guys' music. You should record with me.
Right.
And you're like,
Okay,
whatever, bro.
Yeah.
But he was persistent. It worked out really well.
Which, you guys know as a band, that's how you have to be.
Exactly,
Right? Like,
yeah.
It works the same way on both sides of the
Yeah.
fence, really. But the important thing is obviously finding somebody that you can work with, and it
Yeah.
sounds like you guys did, both through Nimbus and, Kevin.
Kevin McGovern,
Kevin
yeah,
McGovern,
Reverse
yeah.
Media.
Yeah, he's kind of in it with us together. Like,
Okay.
he's up and coming. He's working on his own documentary about electronic music.
Mhm.
He's been working on it for like 4 years now.
Long time.
Nice.
And he's planning on releasing that end of 2014. I was talking to him recently.
And he uses all the videos that he's created of us now, his documentary and the music video that's gonna build everything up for him.
Absolutely.
So we're tied
Yeah.
together,
Which is
Multiple-
that's a conscious decision, obviously, on Nixie's part.
Kind
to
of
want
something
that.
from the very beginning that was like, we just were like, our entire group of friends is so talented. It was almost like that decision at the beginning, like,
Right.
it's going to be an artistic collective.
Yeah.
That's your craft. This is ours.
Yeah.
How can we help each other out?
Right.
So we're all kind of
Our
in it
best
together.
friends
Yeah.
create our artwork for our t-shirts and
Okay.
our posters. Somebody is there to make a poster. Somebody's there to sell artwork. It's just a whole collective.
And how much of the, I guess, the creative freedom are you letting these partners have in Nixie? I guess, like, when you say that you have somebody do your artwork for you, are you right over their shoulder, like,
Oh,
you know,
no.
oh, no red there, what are you
No,
doing?
not at all. It's
No, it's like a concept, and then
A little bit.
So you get presented with kind of the ideas that come through, or it's just more or less like, this is it, and you guys know these people so well that you know that what
There's
you're
a lot
going to
of
get back
yeah,
is
I
pretty
think
much
there's
what
a
you're
lot
looking
of that.
for. Okay.
I think they know us too, and they know that a lot of the things we like are birds, owls, cats, pyramids, aliens. So
Okay.
a lot of our artwork and what's projected from us is a lot around that.
I did think about bringing like some sort of a mock Rorschach test for Nixie. I was like, you know,
that'd
I
be
just want to
awesome.
see what. Yeah, I really should have gone there. Okay, so you're saying owls, birds, and then we went into like, what was it, pyramids, and it's
Alien.
right. So are these things related to you somehow, or
Oh,
like
yeah.
what's the
all the
correlation there?
aliens are related to Shauna.
We're just specifically the aliens. The bird's somebody else, but the aliens, Sean.
Actually, owls. I was biking to work, and
I love that sound.
an owl swooped right in front of my face when I was biking. It almost flew right into a car. The car like screeched. We both stopped, and I was just like, wow. And I saw it fly up onto a flagpole or something, and I was like, that didn't happen.
What time of day is
That was weird. It was about 6 a.m. And then 2 weeks later, in the same month, biking home at 4 in the afternoon, I was swooped again by an owl. It swooped right in front of me. It turned its head. It looked me in the eyes.
Wanting to eat you.
First owl
I was
coincidence,
swooped.
second owl is on purpose. That's just a fact. Nature is telling her something.
There's definitely a connection between myself and owls, and Sarah's got a complete owl tattoo on
Right.
her side. We
Let's
We
see
feel-
it. I'm just kidding.
Is
have a real connection to them.
is it nature in general, or is it very owl and bird specific?
It's spiritual in a sense, for what an owl can represent as wisdom,
Mhm.
and it can see 360 degrees in any angle. So, if you encompass the power of the owl in a metaphysical form, you can see a situation clearly and have the wisdom to go about.
An owl's a creature of the night too, and you started the interview talking about the contrast between good and evil and light and dark, and I want to bring in the concept of the feminine, not that it matters that we're all females or not,
Right.
but there is the concept that the female is the moon and the owl is the night, and there is like a different contrast of dark and light when it
Okay.
comes to feminine energy.
Right.
And I think that we represent part of that. Like, that's where the dark, moody sort of feeling comes from. It's like a primal sort of
Is it?
female thing,
Yeah. Like
I
it.
think.
But do you feel like? I mean, if you're conscious of it, do you feel like that's something that you kind of have to push out there in the music, like, or like represent as a voice, because maybe there's not so many people doing that.
Not that we have to do it, but that maybe that we are doing it in a way that we don't see.
Right.
Like, I don't really see music that is like ours out there in the way that we're doing it.
Right.
And all the bands that we're compared to are all male bands. Like, really?
Yeah, I could definitely see a lot of. I can get where you'd be going with that. I think, Shauna, we had a conversation about Uberphonic, right?
Mhm.
And you know, those kind of comparisons. I think that there's a lot of. I've found some. I'll put it to you that way. But every one that I've come to myself, I think of, and I fully admit I haven't heard enough Nixie yet. But of the tracks that I've heard, the consistency in those tracks through and through is really what makes me believe that as much as I might love a band like Uberphonic, I can certainly recognize that they're getting 70% of it right. I love it. It's great. Those 70% are like 100% songs. They're awesome. But at the same time, I think there's a consistency in what you guys do and like a quality check. I don't know how it's done, but maybe explain that to me. Like, how do you guys know that a song is finished?
We do have a quality check.
You do?
We have the quality check.
Okay.
She's part of it. She's a big part of
Okay,
it.
yeah, all right.
I don't like it.
So it passes through
Change
you,
it.
right? Okay, okay.
No, I don't like it.
There's a lot of intuition.
Yeah, we basically play in a room about this size, and we just all do our thing. And, like, we still change songs that we wrote 5 years ago.
Yeah, like
4 or 5 years ago.
I mean, the song like Countdown, we added a completely, like, almost an entire new song in kind of that,
The beginning.
Right.
the frequency
We're gonna play
of
it for you.
the beginning.
Right on.
Yeah. and so it kind of put this different spin in it, but it flowed really well, so we're like, we kind of want to just keep them together.
Okay.
But there's always, I don't know, it's just a feeling like when you finish a song, I don't think a song is ever really finished.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
each one of us can
Just
finish,
abandoned, right?
like,
Yeah.
we can all finish our own parts, and then we trust each other enough to know that it's done and
Right.
it's good.
I'm thinking about like I Spy and like completing that song, and they're like when we really like songs, I feel like we have multiple parts, and then that's why Countdown represents our music really well too.
Right.
Because a lot of our newer songs, which we have enough music to have another whole album,
Okay.
which would be
I like hearing
amazing.
this.
yeah, we're
Somebody just
working
saw
on
me
it.
smiling over the internet.
Right? and
Yeah.
like a lot of our newer music is built a lot like Countdown. Like there's a variety of parts. Like you can literally see it in parts. I see it all in colors personally, but like there's like a chunk there, and then there's like the bill in the middle, and then there's that part, and they're all completely separate, but they all fit together like puzzle pieces sort of deal. And then I think that we're all really intuitive at being like, that's enough of that part. Like we try, like
Okay.
I think a big
Yeah.
thing that we do is we try not to overplay anything.
Right.
Like it'll be like,
And you assist each other in kind of refining and
well,
reining each
it'll be
other in a
like
little bit, right?
too much, and I think
Yeah.
Fisher helped with that too. He
I
was
was
like,
just thinking
Yeah.
about that.
he's like, okay, you don't need
There's
to
a
play
time
that
process.
anymore.
Yeah.
Like you just need to like make this more approachable. And
Sure.
at the end of, for example, I Spy, which I know you haven't heard before, but
Right.
we had this part where we repeated at the end, and then after a while, like a few months of playing it like that, we were like,
So it felt redundant.
let's just take that out, let's
Yeah.
cut it.
Sure.
And then we ended up adding something completely different to the end, like switched it again, just did like this like hop to something completely different, and that felt really good. And we only played it for about 10 seconds, and that's the end of the song now. It's just like this totally different riff.
Right, right. But that variation, I mean, keeps things exciting for you guys.
Exactly,
Because,
yeah.
so many bands that I've talked to, when they're playing their songs live over year after year, you know, I've heard bands say, why did we write that song? You know, like,
Yeah.
We have a few.
everybody
We have a
loves
couple
it.
of those.
We definitely have a couple of those.
But I mean, approaching it that way through, you know, the idea that it's not a static thing. You know what I mean? That it's not just because you recorded it that way doesn't mean you have to play it that way. You can give it a new life that way, and that stuff's important. I don't want to leave the gender thing quite yet. There's one other question I have, and it is specifically for you, Sarah. You know where this is going, probably, but like, chick drummers, okay? They tend to get a hard time, and I don't personally get it. I've been on record saying I think that it's the Meg White thing, and I think that there was a lot of damage done there, and you know, like we're going forward
I
from
can
there.
respect Meg White. She's
still
a
did
solid
it.
drummer.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't put.
We got laughter and protest. We have the pedals in the back. Anyway.
That being said, I don't think she is the icon for female drummers
No.
everywhere.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of other amazing female drummers.
Yeah.
But
have you experienced that yourself? Has there ever been a moment where somebody's come along and been like, yeah,
They only
Yeah.
do that
Yeah.
before they watch
Yeah.
you play.
fair enough.
Like
right?
we've
Absolutely.
had that, like just in general, when the four of us, because we're kind of pint-sized as a unit.
Okay.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
walk into a bar, they're like, "Oh my
Every
god!"
you get a little
single time.
skepticism.
We start setting up keyboards, they're like,
Yeah. Who are you and why are you? Yeah. Okay.
I don't
I
think
see.
no one's ever
Every
Really
single
can't.
person.
Or is it something
I
that
don't
you're
think-
conscious of, that you know that that there might be those kind of people out in the crowd? and
doesn't
you're gonna,
matter.
you know-
Definitely, because I do the same thing. Whenever I see any drummer, it's like there's always that kind of skepticism of like, okay, well, let's see what you can do and see what happens and whatever. But I mean, I don't go and play to prove something.
Right.
Really, I just play because I love to play. So.
And you're really good at it.
There we go.
And I get, after shows, you know what I get all the time?
Your drummer kicks so much
Oh,
worse.
she's so
Amazing.
good.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
my number one.
Your drummer's amazing.
that I hear as well.
Which is,
Wait, what do
gotta
you
love
do?
that, right,
Yeah.
Sarah? I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it's
nice to
nice.
hear that from these other people, right?
Yeah.
Whether or not they bring it to you directly, I mean, they're hearing it. And
Yeah.
that's you know.
My favorite is when I can get the respect of like a sweet drummer that I just saw who played before
Sure.
me or played after me or whatever. Like, if getting respect of drummers is awesome.
Right.
It's a good feeling.
And they
for
give
sure.
you that nod at the end of the show.
Yeah. And it's not just out of obligation.
I try not to ask a lot of repeat questions. I try to keep things original as best I can. But there's something I'm digging lately, and I really want to ask Nixie, because I think the perspective that you guys will offer is something totally different. But tell me about your opinion on the state of music today, where it's at, what direction you think it's heading in, and I guess just in general, is it in trouble? Is it in a good place?
Well, that depends on what kind of music you're making these days.
Okay.
I definitely think there's more of a lean towards the electronic side of things. Not as many sales in musical instruments, more going towards like the total electronic kind of sound.
Right. Now you guys are a heavily electronic band. There's a heavily electronic element
Definitely,
there.
yeah.
Does that necessarily make that a bad thing, though? Like, you know,
No, I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily.
Right,
I think people are always going to gravitate towards that acoustic feel, that like raw sound as well.
Mhm.
But at this moment in time, the electronic sound, the options are limitless.
That's
Wait.
But you're never going to get that raw acoustic sound. you
Right.
know?
In that sense, though, having so much electronic abilities allows more people to make more music, which I think in the end is better.
It's become
Yeah.
that, you know, accessible for
Everybody
people.
can express themselves
Yeah.
Right.
in every way. It's awesome. More people are making music.
Mhm.
Like
that-
everybody I know was making music
Right.
in
Yeah.
some sense.
But in an electronic form, it's unfortunate that people can download a song, but
Mhm.
they won't necessarily buy the song.
Right.
So artists are really struggling with making albums and selling albums. So
But
I
is
don't
that-
know if
That's part of the
good.
switch, though.
It
It
is part of the
That
switch.
needs to be part of the
Right.
switch.
Yeah.
Is that somewhat on us? You know,
Mhm.
whether or not it's you as musicians or us as promotion companies and recording studios.
Yeah.
Is it our job to help you adapt to that next level? Because
Yeah.
I think that you're right. I think the tangible things like DVDs or CDs, I think they're tougher to really put into somebody's hands. That being said, I don't think that there's a fan out there of Nixie or a fan of these other bands that people love that don't want something to hold on to.
Right.
They still
for
want
sure.
merchandise,
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah.
they still want to see and hear you perform.
Yeah.
So I think there's a combination in there somewhere.
That's a good
That
point.
you know, once those kind of things are figured out, I love what Eterna did. This raging metal band we had on, but they had these beer koozies that say brutal power metal on them. And it's just like, absolutely love this kind of stuff, because for me, I look at something like that and I go, okay, you're thinking.
Yeah.
There is a way to do it, and like I said, people still want something to hold on to. I know that for a fact because I'm a fan. Nixie walked in here today and we received a CD, we got a shirt, and I mean, I've been smiling ever since, and that's because I love music stuff. And so thank you.
I think I just thought about it too. A good example I saw of that was we bought tickets to go see Mute Math
Yeah.
a year ago.
Right.
And the ticket is buy the ticket, it came like in your confirmation email. It was like, here's your download code for our album and our unreleased like instrumental version of the album.
So you got something bonus, right?
Two full albums because you bought tickets to their live show.
Right.
And they were like, this is for you, and give this code to one of your friends. So it came with
go.
double download.
And that's
so
an awesome idea.
Awesome.
That one, I honestly, I haven't heard that one before.
Yeah.
And that's impressive.
Yeah,
like, I think that's a good way.
First time I saw it, and I was stoked.
Yeah.
Well, also the thing that a lot of bands are starting to do, and it's causing, like, the whole download issue is causing them to do, is just beef up their live show.
Yeah.
And I mean...
Right. Oh, yeah, I understand what you're saying. Like, back it up with that powerful performance, right?
Yeah, have an amazing live performance, but also, like, you know, a few bells and whistles that can attract people and, like, get people actually listening to their music. Because, I mean, if you hear an artist, even if you got the song for free or whatever, if you really like the artist, you're going to go to their show.
Right.
So,
absolutely.
That's kind of where
if you're like me, you're going to bring 5 of your friends, right? Like, that's just how these things go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Alright, so now that we know I wasn't that far off the mark in the podcast, tell you another quick story just about just some correspondence, and I guess the first time that I've ever really asked for a favor, more or less. When I had talked to Nixie about coming here to SBS to do their interview and performance, I had also asked them about a particular track I had seen during my first night ever hearing about Nixie at all. It's a track called Citizen Warning, and I asked them to play it when they came here. There's a reason. The song is awesome. It's amazing. And asking them later on where they were at with the song, they're still incredibly proud of it in terms of whether or not it's the first one that they would reach for. Maybe not so much anymore. So again, Nixie, thank you very much. It was an incredible honor to have you do that, and not only did it turn out just unbelievable, the footage was awesome and the performance was incredible. It just, what can I say? You made my night, you made my week, you made my month. Nixie, so happy to show this to the world. Here you are, Citizen Warning. Alright, so by now you've seen that we've posted that it is Nixie weekend. We couldn't just do one day, and we couldn't just wait another 4 for it to come out with part 2. So we've got not only today's episode, we've got pictures, of course, coming tomorrow, being posted all day, and the following part 2 episode the day after. So lots of unbelievable Nixie action happening here with SBS, and something we definitely invite you to check out the rest of, because the performances that are still to come from Nixie are absolutely mind-blowing, and they've really just put a new standard in for performances in terms of what we've seen here at SBS. So again, congratulations to all 4 of you, Bronwyn, Carrie, Sarah, and Shauna. You did an absolutely amazing job in representing both the music and yourselves. So thank you for being here with us, and we look forward to seeing you again at the end of this weekend, right here at Sleeping Bag Studios on SBS Live this week.
I guess that I could say I've changed, but you can't see that